All right, welcome to the Measures of Center and Spread Flip Classroom. In this video, I'll be discussing the information you need in order to complete the Imagine Math pathway. I'll be doing some discussion questions and example problems that may be like the problems on the Imagine Math pathway. It is important prior to watching this video that you have watched a video on mean, median, mode, and range from Rachel Saunders and IF and ISD. I hope that you wrote down the examples in your IMB because you're going to need that in order to answer any questions. I'll be discussing mean, median, mode, and range, but I'll be discussing it as an example problem. So I expect you to know how to solve problems, including the mean, median, mode, and range of the data set. Please refer back to my video anytime that you need to do Imagine Math. Make sure you click on the McNair Math 6 Summarizing Data Pathway. Make sure you mark it blue and press start before you get started. All right, today we're going to review over some vocabulary that's essential to doing the problems. That is range, median, mode, and mean. Go ahead and stop. Write down these vocabulary words and see if you can define them in your own words. Pause the video and come back and see if your definitions are like mine. All right, welcome back. So the range in the video, we have range, which is big minus small, or the spread of data. Basically, you're taking the maximum number and you're subtracting the minimum number. We call that the spread because you see how wide your sets of numbers are spread. Median is putting the numbers from least to greatest and finding the middle number. If you think about a median when we're driving on the road like 518 or Kingsley Drive where our school is located, you may see a grassy median in the middle of the two sides of the road. So remember, median means middle. And mode is the number that repeats the most, the number that you see the most. And mean, we also refer to it as the average. It means to add up all the numbers and divide by the number. We're going to review over some practice problems and talk about how to solve them. Please remember to write down these notes because these will be essential in helping you solving problems that will be on the Imagine Math pathway. Here we go. The ages and years of participants in a piano recital are 10, 12, 9, 13, 10, and 11. What is the mean age of the participants? Remember, the mean formula is defining the sum of all the data points and dividing by the number of data points. Remember, the fraction bar means to divide. That means you're going to add up all of these numbers, 10, 12, 9, 13, 10, and 11, and you're going to divide by the total number of data points. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 data points. So that means I'm going to take 10 plus 12 plus 9 plus 13 plus 10 plus 11 and divide that by 6. And that will give me my average or my mean age of the participants. So once I add that total sum, I'm going to get 65 and I want to divide that by 6. Remember, when dividing that, the 65 needs to go in first, especially if you're using a calculator. So remember, top in, bottom out. So you want to make sure that 65 is divided by 6. Please input that information in your calculator properly. I do not mind if you use a calculator on mean, median, mode, and range. I know, I can't believe I'm saying it either. So when I divide 65 divided by 6, I get 10.833 repeating. The mean is 10.833 repeating. All right, Crystal completed 5 quizzes. The mean score of 4 quizzes is 78. What will be her new mean if she scores an 88 on the 5th quiz? In this case, we don't just need to find the mean, we actually need to work backwards to add an additional score to our sum of data. So that means we're going to have to use the mean formula and work backwards to find the necessary information. So in order to solve this problem, you will need to find the sum of the scores, add the new score to the sum of the scores, and divide by the total number of quizzes of 5. Remember to use the mean formula, the sum of all data points, divided by the number of data points. So in this case, we're going to take the mean and you find the sum of scores and which we know are divided by the 4 quizzes that we already know. Our mean is 78, and we know that we have 4 quizzes, and so we just need to figure out what was the sum of scores for those 4 quizzes. We're going to do that by working backwards. Since we're dividing the sum of scores by 4, we're going to do the opposite and multiply 4 times 78. 4 times 78 is 312, which gives us the sum of scores for those 4 quizzes. Now that I know my sum of scores, I'm going to add that information to my new score to get my new mean. So in order to find the new mean, I need to take the sum of scores plus the new score and divide by 5, since there are 5 quizzes. So our new mean is 312 plus 88 divided by 5. 400 divided by 5 is going to give us 80. So our new mean is 80. Pause the video if necessary and write down any information that you need. All right, now let's talk about range. The range formula is the maximum value minus the minimum value. Basically, you're taking the biggest number in your data set and you're subtracting the smallest number. So the first thing you want to do is when you see a data set that maybe look like this, it may be in a table, you want to take your data set and you want to sort that data set from least to greatest. That's very important when solving problems involving range or median or mode. With that being said, you want to go ahead and do that, and you want to find the range of that data set by subtracting the maximum value minus the minimum value. That means 86 minus 35. 86 is the largest number, 35 is the smallest number, and when I subtract those, I get 51. Now that I know my range, I'm able to do all kinds of things and answer all kinds of questions. You will have several questions that are very important on your Imagine Math pathway, so I want to review some examples. Our first question says, if the range of the data is 51, is it possible to add a number to the data set that would decrease the range? Why or why not? Pause the video and think about this question and see if you can answer it on your own. Come back and we'll discuss. Alrighty, so is it possible to add a number to the data set that would decrease the range? Well, the data set is this number here, all of these numbers here. So if I add a number, any number to this data set, will my range be smaller than 51? Well, I can add any number I think about and my range actually would not decrease, because if I change my minimum and my maximum, most likely that range will actually be increased. It would actually get bigger. So if I change those numbers or add any numbers in between, either it will increase or not change. So no, it is not possible. No matter what number you add, your range will not decrease. This is something that's super important and I would write down. All right, so what happens if we have to answer some other questions? So please pay attention. Let's look at the first question. What is a number that could be added to the data set that will not change the range? Pause the video and think about a number that I can add to this data set that will not change the range. All right, well, your answers may vary. An example is 43. I can add 43 to this data set and it will not change the range because if the number is between 35 and 86. Any number between the maximum and the minimum will not change the range because the maximum and minimum aren't changing. So therefore, when you take the difference, it will be the same thing. The spread will be the same. So if you add any number, like for example 43, 43 will go about right there. If I added that number to the data set, my range will still be the same. Next question. What is a number that can be added to the data set that will change the range? Pause the video, think about that answer, and come back so we can discuss. Alrighty, well, your answers will vary there as well. I know any number that is below 35 or higher than 86 could actually change the range. An example is 30. An example is not 39, sorry. An example actually would be 29. My bad, y'all. Okay, because 29, go back to that question. Because 29 is actually going to be a number that is less than 35. I could also add numbers like 87 or 99 because that's greater than 86. So anytime your minimum or maximum number changes, the range could change. So if those two change, the range will change. Alrighty, so let's sum up this up. If a number is added between the minimum and the maximum, the range will stay the same. Please make sure you're writing this information down. If a number is added above the maximum, the range will increase. And if the number is added below the minimum, the range will increase. Make sure you've written all three of these important information and important statements down. You will definitely need this on Imagine Math. Alrighty, and so remember our distance learning expectations. You should have already watched the introduction video for the week, watch the mean, median, mode, and range data video, watch the flipped classroom video that you're watching right now, copy down the notes in your IMB, and refer back to your notes in the notebook or online copies on Google Classroom. In the flipped classroom section, I will have additional videos on mean, median, mode, and range, and I will also post videos in refers to questions that you guys are asking me, and also look at my YouTube video. Work on Imagine Math Pathway, make near math, summarizing data, and write down notes, questions, take screenshots, send me that information before our first Hangouts Monday meeting. Remember, all assignments are due at 4 p.m. on Fridays. I'm glad that we got to talk today. Have a great day.